Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Fusion and Active Life live stream. You're going to be doing yoga with me today. My name's Nikki. And so we've got a few minutes until we go live. I'm just looking at the time. We don't need really much kit today. We're going to be looking at legs and hips. But it is helpful if you've got extra bits of kit to have bricks and blocks and maybe a strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, maybe you can find yourself a dressing gown belt or just an ordinary belt, anything like that that you could use. You'd only need those if you're much stiffer, I would say, into the legs and the hips. But I'm going to be giving you lots of variations to do anyway. So just stick with the easier stuff if you're finding that a bit hard. So I'm just checking the time. Okay, we've got a couple of minutes yet. Make sure you've got enough space to stretch out if you've got your mat. If you don't have a mat, don't worry too much. And just to be aware, if you're on the carpet, your mat might move a little bit. So making sure that you're not going to nudge it into anything, moving any pets out of the way so that you've got lots of space to move. Maybe have a drink of water handy and just take small sips from that rather than big gulps. Otherwise it can make you feel a bit sick when you're doing the exercises. Okay, let me see the time. We've got 1 minute to go. I'm trying not to make this squeal this week, hopefully. So I hope you've had a good week and you enjoyed the classes last week. I did get some feedback. Some people get achy bottoms and some people laughing at trying to balance, but I'm sure it's like everything, it just takes practice. If you're not used to doing the stuff, then stick with the easy things and you can always repeat those over and over again. A few seconds to go, just in case people are logging on directly at 12:30. We don't want to start too early. Okay, so if you want to lie down on your mat, we're going to do some warm-up exercises before we go into the stretching of the legs and the hips. As I say, have your extra bits of kit handy in case you need those. So coming to the floor, lying down on the back, and you can have the knees bent if that feels better for you. We're just trying to release the lower back into the floor. Relax the arms just a little way from the sides. Good, good. And push the shoulder blades down away from the head. Have the palms facing the ceiling. So take the arms as wide as you need to be able to do that. If it feels comfortable, have the legs flat. And then take your attention to your breath. Breathing through the nose if possible. Feel the abdomen rising and stretching as you breathe in. And drawing it down towards the spine as you breathe out. Not rushing the breath. Really allowing time for those natural pauses between each one. Gradually the breath becomes slower and deeper. So you may have had a busy morning rushing around, and this is your time to take a moment for yourself. And then be ready for an easy stretch. So slide the legs flat if you've got the knees bent, and then on the inhalation, lifting the arms up, exhaling them over the head. Have the legs together. Deep breath in, point the toes, tighten the buttocks, stretching into your fingertips, and softening as you breathe out. Second stretch, flexing the feet, toes up, push the heels away, really lengthen through the whole body. Again, releasing on the exhalation. And then just breathe normally. You can slide the arms down to the sides, bending the knees, and then slowly bring the knees up to the chest. Knees apart, little rock side to side if we like. And then come to center, placing the feet down onto the mat. So we want a big gap between the feet, and we're going to keep that gap, taking the arms wide. As you breathe out, slowly drop the knees over to the right side and allow the legs to feel heavy, turning your head to the left. So this is a standard warm-up that I usually use for each class. Just gives a little bit of stretch down the front of the thigh. On this side, it will be mainly on the left leg if you've got any tightness there. On the inhalation, we're coming back to center, and then exhale to the other side. Inhaling center, then sliding the left leg flat. Bring the right knee into the chest. Now, if it feels tight for you to take the leg out and then stretch the leg fully, keep the knee bent. If we're okay, extending the leg, and then we're circling the leg down to the end of the mat, across to the left, and up to the ceiling. You want big circles. We're taking it round 3 times. And then 3 the other way. Don't forget to breathe. Once you've done your 3 each way, rest the leg, give it a wriggle out, and then we do the same on the other side. So 3 one way and then 3 the other way, even if the knee's bent. And then once you've done that, again, rest the leg, give it a wriggle out. Don't rush if you're a little bit slower than me. And then bring the soles of the feet together and the knees dropping open. Supta Baddha Konasana. Now you could take the arms wide or closer to the head if the shoulders allow for that. And really soften through the abdomen, trying to release inside the legs and the hips, mainly the hips. Focus on the nice deep breaths. So it's a passive stretch. Now, as we're working today, obviously I can't see you, so be aware of your body. If there's things that you know you shouldn't be doing, then you can take a rest at any point. And you could also repeat these softer exercises that I'm doing at the beginning of the class. Next exhalation, we're going to slide the feet away along the mat, giving the legs a good stretch. And then one at a time, bring the knees up to the chest and have the knees together. So focusing on squeezing the knees together, taking the arms out at shoulder level once again. Try and keep the shoulders flat now. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, take both knees to the left and really tuck the knees up towards the arm, holding above the floor if you get all the way over. Inhale, we're coming back. Exhaling, other side. And then follow your breath. Really focus on the tuck up with the knees. That's more important than getting close to the floor. If you can do both, then that's fine, but don't worry if you don't get very far over. Exhale to twist. Inhale to come back. Next time you go to the right side, make that your last one. When you're back to center, just placing the feet down onto the mat and just take a pause. And then slowly rolling onto one side and coming up to sitting. Okay, so as I say, this week we're looking at working into legs and hips. And for our purposes, the hips might not be always where you think they are. So we tend to think of the hip as being here, but it really depends on the function that we're trying to do with that leg or with that hip as to where the muscles are working in your body. Okay, so we're going to start off by lying on your side. Doesn't matter which side, because we're going to do each side. Now, you could have the arm flat, as I'm doing here, or you could prop the head up if that feels more comfortable. And we're going to flex both feet. So the toes are coming towards the nose, and the pelvis is in more or less the upright position. So the top leg, we're going to lift the leg. It doesn't have to be too high, and we're just holding that leg. So we're abducting the leg. You may feel it working on the outside of the leg, and thinking back to what we were doing last week, you may also feel it working in the obliques down the side of the trunk, because they help to lift the heavy leg and stabilize the pelvis. Don't forget to breathe. So your femur is your heaviest bone, so we're loading the weight of your leg onto the muscles, and we're just holding. And initially it doesn't feel very strong, but it may feel heavier after a while. So as always, if I hold it too long for you, then just release whenever you need to. Okay, so now we're going to start moving this leg. So we're going to turn the toes towards the ceiling. So we're rotating the foot, and you can feel that it works the whole leg. So it's rotating the head of the femur in the hip socket. And you might really feel that here in the leg. Keep breathing, rolling it in and out. When you've done a few, it starts to get a bit tiring. May start to feel a bit crampy. That's good. As I said last week, keep smiling. Makes everything easier. Last one. And then resting the leg down. Okay, give it a little rub out if that feels quite strong. Steady yourself with the free hand. And now we're going to lift the leg, still keeping the outer edge of the foot parallel with the floor, as high as you can. So it will really depend on A, your strength, and B, your flexibility. And when we're talking about some of these stretches, it really depends on the shape of the end of the bone that inserts into the pelvis. So one person may be able to lift really high, and the next person not, if you've got, more restriction in that area. Just keep holding, keep breathing. You should be able to feel that really working on the outer part of the leg, hip here now. Very good. Well done, and bring the leg down. Really give it a rub out if that feels quite strong. Okay, so the top leg again, we're going to bring the knee in towards the chest, and then turn the knee out towards the ceiling. So we're rotating the head of that femur in the hip socket. Keep the bottom leg really firm, right up to the buttock. You're flexing the foot. That will give you stability. And then hold on to the top knee and draw the knee towards the shoulder or armpit. Might still feel quite strong into the hip. Keep breathing. Now you could keep it there with the leg bent if that feels better for you. For those that want to, you could stretch the leg up. Now it gets a bit wobbly, so keep working that bottom leg, and you could hold on to the top leg and draw the leg over. So if it's tighter at the back or on the inside, we don't want to encourage a bend in the knee. I'd much rather you have the leg straight and further away. For those that are looser, if you can hold the toe, you can draw the foot towards the head. This is an Antasana. Keep breathing. Very good. And releasing the leg all the way down. Lovely. Bend the knees so it gives a little bit of rest. Bringing the knees in towards the chest a little bit and the heels towards the buttocks. So we're going to try and strengthen a little bit on the outside here. okay, in the outer part of the buttock and hip. So you want to take your top hand and take it behind the pelvis, so we're not rolling back as we do this exercise. Keep the inner edges of your feet together and then lift the top knee only as wide as you can and then close it together. Keep that going, opening and closing. So some of you will get much wider open than me because you might be looser in this lateral rotation of your hip, but you should be able to feel it squeezing here. If you put your hand there, you can really feel the muscles working and the movement of the bone. Keep breathing. And the more we do, we're sort of pumping that up, and it may, again, start to feel a bit crampy. Keep breathing, otherwise you get tired really quickly. I can really feel it now. Okay, one more. And then we're keeping the legs together. Give it a rub out. Okay, now we're keeping the thighs together and we're lifting the foot for medial rotation of the femur. So postures like hero pose, we would use the leg in this direction. And it could be that you're looser this way or tighter. I'm much tighter going this direction. So some of you, as you lift the foot, it will come right over to here. Don't forget to breathe. And again, you should be able to feel that movement here if you put your hand on the outer part of the hip. It's getting strong now. One more. Very good. And then rolling onto your back. And you may want to give the legs a little stretch out, a bit of rest. And take a few breaths. Wriggle out through the legs if that feels good. And then we'll be ready for the other side. So turning over. So on the other side of the body. As I say, you can have the arm flat if that's more comfortable for your neck. Okay, so we're flexing both feet to start with, lifting the top leg. It doesn't have to be too high, just holding, and the outer edge of your foot is parallel with the floor. You can steady yourself with the free hand on the mat. Keep breathing. Just starting to load into the hip. Good, and then we're starting to rotate the legs. So we're turning the toes towards the ceiling and then back in. So make sure you can feel the whole of the leg rotating as you turn that foot. Does it feel heavy yet? Even my short legs feel heavy when I'm doing these things. One more. And then rest the leg down. If you need to, give it a little wriggle out. Now you may notice, and I do notice one side or the other, that one leg is stronger, maybe one leg is more flexible, doesn't feel quite the same. That's normal. Okay, so now we're lifting the leg as high as we can. See how much flexibility we have there and how much strength to lift that very heavy leg. Keep the bottom leg really firm also. Keep breathing. Keep squeezing. You better really feel that here. Good, good. One more breath. And then releasing the leg down. Good. Give it a little rub. And then we're bringing the top knee in towards the chest and turning the knee again towards the ceiling. Keep the bottom leg really firm, right up to the buttock. That's your stability. And then if we can, stretching the leg up. Remember, if you want to, you can keep the knee pulled in towards the shoulder if that's not suitable. So stretching the leg up if you like. Hold on to the leg where you can keep it straight and try and draw it over. For those that are looser, hold the toe or the outer edge of the foot and really get a good stretch going there. Keep the bottom leg working. Keep breathing. And releasing the leg all the way down. Well done. Tuck both knees forward and the heels towards the buttocks. Okay, taking your hands to the back of the pelvis. Remember, we want to keep it in the upright position at the pelvis. And then keeping the feet together, we're opening out with the top knee. And we're just closing again. So it's open and close. Keep breathing. Notice for yourself if maybe this side is easier or maybe it goes a little bit wider. Mine tends to click a bit on this side as I open and close. You can't hear it, but I can feel it. It's a good bit of strengthening. Two more. And then we're going to keep the thighs together. Again, rub out anytime it feels a bit strong. So lifting the foot now. Keeping the thighs together. It may feel strong inside at the groin too. Depends on where your tightness lies. So it's the repetition really that makes this a strong exercise rather than what you're doing. If you say did one, it doesn't feel too bad. Starting to pump up now. Two more. Very good. And then we're going to roll onto your back and stretch the legs away. Give the legs a little wriggle out. All right, coming back up to sitting. Now, if you tend to be a bit tighter into the hips in this direction, so that lateral rotation, sitting on a block can be helpful for you. And really what we're after is an upright back. So we want to sit right at the front edge of the block, so it helps to tip the top of the pelvis forward as much as we can. So the pelvis and the spine are in a nice line. And then I'm going to stretch one leg out in front, and I've got the other foot tucked in against the inside of that leg. Now I've got bricks here. If you've got cushions, anything like that that you need to use, that's fine. If the knee is sticking up on this side, a bit of tightness on the inside of this hip, we could support on the outer edge with the bricks, so then you can just relax into that leg and let it go. If your knee drops down, it doesn't feel too strong, then that's fine. You could also push the foot further forward if that's more comfortable. For those that are looser, tuck it right up into the groin. Okay, so we're going to be stretching through the back of this leg, so mainly the hamstrings, but it also starts to work into the hip elevator, the lower back area, quadratus lumborum, on the side where the knee is bent. So it'll be feel that stretching from the top of your pelvis to the base of your rib cage on the bent knee side. It's also stretching it on this side, but this is the side you'll really feel potentially. Okay, so taking the hands either side of the leg. Now I want you to look ahead, not down at your foot. So we lift through the chest and then feel like the abdomen is coming forward towards the thigh, even if it only comes a little way like I'm doing here. For those that are looser and you're able to get further down, maybe your chest coming towards your knee, then, you know, you still look ahead. For those that are getting their nose on their shin, absolutely fine, but most people will not be getting down that far. I'm not coming down this far because I'm not really warmed up for that. So you take it at your pace. Keep breathing. If you want to flex this foot so the toes are up because you're looser, you could do that. The aim is not to reach for the foot, but if you're easily able to hold it, you can really lengthen the body and draw it down over the leg. Keep breathing. On the inhalation, we're coming up. And we do that on the other side. So stretching the other leg out. Remembering each side may feel different. So I know I can get a bit of support on this side for my knee. You do that if it's suitable. Again, we're lengthening, lifting tall, breathe in, looking ahead. We're coming forward. Take it at a stage at a time. And you may get that sort of sticky point where you think, oh, that's enough. And then after a couple of breaths, it may feel slightly looser and you could come down that a little bit further. As I say, keep breathing. For those that can easily reach the foot, you notice my shoulders are up around my ears. If that's you, you can easily reach, lift the chest, draw the body down even lower. Keep breathing. On the inhalation, we're rising. Well done. And stretch the leg out. Give the legs a little wriggle. Now I'm going to move back slightly. If you're on a hard floor, like this one, and we're going to take the legs wide now. If you're on a hard floor, we would prefer to keep the heels on the padding of your mat. So sit off the long edge as I'm doing off this grey mat, because we don't want to start getting a lot of pressure into the back of the heel, especially for those that tend to be tighter. If you're on the carpet, you've got a bit of padding anyway. It doesn't really matter. So you potentially will feel it on the adductors now on the inside of the legs. If you can already feel it there, just as you're sitting and your pelvis is rolling back, you want to maybe bring the legs a bit closer so you can sit taller. For those that are looser, you can take the legs as wide as you like. So we're going to pick a leg, any leg, as I always make the joke, as long as it's yours, and sit tall, lift the chest. We're doing a twist now, taking the sternum, the breastbone, towards the chosen leg. So moving the hand that's on the outside a little bit back, and the hand that's between the legs, if you think you can go a bit further, you'd take that hand to the outside of the chosen leg and use it as a bit of leverage to push the shoulders further round. Some of you will feel it on the inside of the opposite leg. If you don't feel it particularly, you could flex the feet. Think about an upright spine, turning the chin as if you're looking over the shoulder. Keep drawing the breath down to the base of the lungs. And on the inhalation, we're coming back. Well done. And then we do the other side. So sitting tall, exhale to twist. If you can go that bit further, the hand that's between the legs to the outside of the chosen leg, pushing round that bit further. And breathe. And on the inhalation, we're coming back. Well done. If you need to take the pressure off, just bring the legs together, a little bit of wriggling out. Okay, once you've done that, we're taking the legs back out again. Now, in this position where the legs are extended, if we start leaning one side or the other, you could do that for yourself, just leaning one side or the other. You can maybe feel your pelvis. So if this represented my pelvis, as you lean one side, you can feel the bottom of the pelvis is doing this. It's lifting off the buttock on each side. So if we were to do a stretch over one leg, if I chose this leg and I stretched, the pelvis would do this and come with me, which is fine if we want to just target the leg being the part that we stretch. But if we want to target the hip, and as I say, the hip elevator is in your lower back. So if you find your rib cage, it's below the base rib before you get to the top of the pelvis. The muscles that go in between those areas, more or less in a vertical striation, but they're slightly on a slant, they stabilize the pelvis day to day as we're going around. So when we're doing forward bends, we want them to stretch. People like me have had issues with the back. Sometimes they can get a bit tight. So this stretch is really good for targeting that area again. So we're going to tuck one leg in. Again, doesn't matter which leg, as long as we're going the right way. If your knee is sticking up like so, you can support with a brick. If it isn't, then obviously don't. Now we want to turn the sternum to face the straight leg. Hands either side. We sit tall. We're looking ahead, not at your foot. Then we're walking the hands forward, trying to keep that twist. We're facing the leg still. And you may only get a certain way before you start feeling a stretch in that lower back area. If you can go a long way down because it's looser, the hand that's on the inside of the leg, switch it to the outside of the leg, holding wherever you can reach, and draw the body down over the leg. For those that are the loosest, hold the foot, bend the elbow, and really draw the body along the leg. Keep breathing. So you can feel it lengthening. It's a good stretch, but it doesn't mean it's easy. If you don't get down as low as me, it doesn't matter. Inhale, we're coming up. Believe me, it's taken me a little while to loosen that area. Okay, and one side may feel very different. So hands either side of the other leg now. Lift the chest, turn to face the foot, look ahead beyond the foot. Again, we're walking forward. So if it feels a bit tight, this feels a bit tighter for me, just breathe. If you can get down lower, then you get down as low as you like. Remember, if you're looser, you can take the hand that's inside of the leg to the outside, hold the leg or the foot, and draw down if you want to. Keep breathing. On the inhalation, we're rising. Good. And stretch out the leg. Okay, give the legs both a little wriggle out. Now you can see I've got 2 bricks. If you haven't got 2 bricks, I'd like to have 2 of anything. 2 socks, water bottle and a strap, anything that you can grab that's near you. We just want 2 things that we can place either side of the legs. If you've got bricks, then that's fine. Okay, now I'm sitting with the legs straight out, and the muscles on the top here, your quadriceps, also one of them is also your hip flexor. Okay, and the hip flexors bring the legs towards the body or the body toward the leg, depending on which hip flexor we're talking about. So we want to make sure that we can engage these muscles at will when we're doing certain yoga poses. And what we're going to do now is practice getting those working for us. So I'd like to take your hands onto your legs, and I want you to tighten the muscles in one leg and then release, tighten the other leg, and release. You maybe see that as my hand lifts as I squeeze my quads and release. Notice I'm not flexing the foot and release, okay, because that brings a lot more effort into each leg. We're just targeting these areas on their own. The ankles are floppy. Don't forget to breathe. Make sure you don't get brain ache thinking about, associating one bit with the other, okay? Just relax the feet, just work the quads. Okay, now as we rectus femoris that runs down the front of the thigh here, not only does it flex the hip, it extends the knee, as most of the quads do. So we want to straighten the leg. Again, I'm not flexing the foot to make it really difficult. And then try and lift the leg just a little bit. Tighten the leg, lift the leg, release. Tighten, lift, and down. Do that a few times. Make sure as we lift the leg, we're not just tensing the leg and leaning back. That's a bit of cheating. Okay, we're actually getting some air. Now, if that's strong and it's giving you cramp in your legs, rub it out. You could continue with that. For those that are a little bit more used to doing this, a bit stronger maybe, as you lift the leg, we're going to lift it, take it over your thing and put it down. Lift the leg, over and back. Other side. I like to call this the Tommy Cooper. Remember the old sketch? Glass bottle, bottle glass. Okay, as we lift over, and then you can do it faster. Don't forget to breathe. So we're really working through the legs, getting you used to engaging the muscles when you need. Last couple. Excellent. And then roll out the legs, give them a wriggle out. So postures where we require lifting the leg, you know, even if you're holding your toe for Padangusthasana, where we've got the leg out to the side, you want some of the work to be in the leg, not just your poor arm that's holding the heavy leg up. So we need to make sure that we can work this area. Okay, so coming off any blocks now, you want that to the side. And we're going to bring the feet in towards each other. So this is Baddha Konasana. We did it earlier when we were lying down and as a passive stretch. So you could hold on to the ankles and then think about lifting up into the chest. If you can bring the feet in closer and you can hold the toes, yoga grip, and then do that. So yoga grip is the middle finger and the forefinger together. I'm sliding it between the big toe and the next one, holding the toe, and then bend the toe to hold the fingers. Lift the chest. Now we're going to walk the feet in, and if you can, lift one foot and match it with the other. So we're coming into a little bit of a balance. Now, a lot of people find this hard, so I'm going to give you a tip. If you have a brick, you can use it as a little bit of a platform, and this helps you to lift the weight of your legs. We're lifting the legs onto the platform, and then as you lean, it's easier to get the lift of the legs. Keep breathing. Keep lifting the chest. Good, good. Okay, so you could stay there. I know this is hard. Or we stretch out one leg. Even if you can't straighten, if you can straighten it fully. And we bring it in. Keep working the abs. Other side. And bring it in. Once more. Now, with balancing, I always say you have to keep a sense of humour. If you roll back, as long as you're not going to whack your head on a table, okay, so make sure of that, it doesn't matter. Okay, just keep that going. Next time you bring the leg in, take the other leg out. Okay, it gets us used to the movement with the balance. Don't forget to breathe. Don't forget to smile. And then we're going to try and take both legs out, even if the knees are bent. Lifting the chest, working the legs. Keep breathing. See if you can tighten up through the legs. Tighten up the abs, pelvic floor. And if we can, let go of the legs. Good, good. One more breath. And bring it down. Well done. Whew. Okay, so I would like you to lay down on your tummy now, and we're going to work the legs the other way. So we're working buttocks now for hip extension. So we're laying flat onto the mat. You can have the arms in front of you, and you could rest your head down onto the arms, okay, if that's more comfortable for your neck. Now, to start off with, we want to make sure we're not taking too much pressure into the lower back. So I'd like you to tighten the abs, and you'll feel this extends the lumbar region, tucks the tailbone under, okay, so it doesn't feel like you're taking too much pressure there. Keep breathing, keep that tuck. And then I want you to tighten through the quads, as we did a minute ago, so the front of the thighs, and this extends the legs into a straight position. Maybe lifts the knees away from the floor. Now, keep breathing, and we're going to keep one leg on the floor, and then squeeze the buttock on the other side, and lift the leg away from the mat, keeping the leg as straight as we can. Working the buttock. Keep breathing. And then slowly lower the leg down. Well done. Okay, other side. Keep the abs engaged, quads as well. And then working the glutes, lifting the other leg. Press the top of the foot on the leg that's on the floor into the ground. And this can help you get a bit of lift. Well done. And then bringing the legs down and take a little rest. Soften through the abs, the legs. Okay. Now, to make that a little bit harder, we can try doing both legs together, okay? So have the arms down by the sides. You can have your forehead on the ground. And then we're going to, again, tighten the abs, tucking the tail under, tighten the legs, and then both buttocks and feel the legs lifting away from the floor. And breathe. If that's too hard, just do one leg at a time. And then slowly lowering the legs down. Well done. Bring the hands either side of the rib cage, really, pressing into the palms. We're going to push up to hands and knees. Inhale. Widen the gap between the knees, and then slowly sink back towards the heels with the bottom. You could cross the arms in front and rest your head on the arms. So we're just stretching out the areas that we've just used. And then slowly coming up to sitting. Okay, we're going to be on the knees now. So if you need padding for knees, like I do, you might be enough with a double mat like this, or you could use your block if you have one of those, or a cushion, or a little bit of extra padding of some sort. If you know you tend to be a bit wobbly, your bricks being handy would be a good idea. So I'm going to place the block underneath my left knee, and I'm kneeling up, and then I'm taking my right leg forward. So I'm coming into a low lunge. Now, as I sink the hips forward and down, I want a more or less vertical shin on this leg for stability more than anything else. And if I feel too wobbly, you could take that right leg wider. So you've got a bigger gap between the knee and the foot, and you want the chest to be in the upright position. So we're looking at the hip flexors now. We're stretching again. This is a passive stretch for the hip flexors, and it's the ones on the back leg that we're now stretching. So the front leg, this is in flexion. So, and again, it's passive. We're just letting gravity and your body weight do any work. If you feel wobbly, you could take the arms out to the sides, or you could use your bricks like so for stability, if that's better. If you want to work harder, bring the arms upside the head, reaching the thumbs behind, Anjaneyasana, crescent moon. Keep breathing. Feel the stretch on the back leg. Lifting the chin slightly. You should feel that stretching at the front of the back leg. Very good. Okay, bringing the hands down. We're going to try that on the other side. So swapping over for the other knee. So I'm showing you this from the side, but I will face forward in a minute. Okay, so again, keeping the chest nice and elevated, sinking down. You feel that stretch down the back leg. Holding your brick if you need to, arms wide or arms up for Anjaneyasana. Keep breathing. Make sure you're not gripping with the toes on the front foot. And then slowly we're bringing the arms down. Good. And then we're coming to kneeling. Now, I'd like you to be kneeling up. If you've got your knees on a pad, then if we can do without it just for a moment, that would probably be the best idea. Now, I'm using the block as a bit of stability here if you need to, because this is a bit taller. If you've got bricks, you could have them like this, stacked up, so that you're not leaning forward. We want to be in the upright position. Now, before, it was a passive stretch when we came forward. So the quads at the front of the thigh were being stretched as we went forward. Same with your main hip flexor iliopsoas. And there was not any work going on into the hamstrings at the back. And obviously the two work against each other. So now we want to try and strengthen through the hamstrings. We always bang on about stretching hamstrings, but you really need to have strong hamstrings too. There's no point in strengthening one side of your leg. Otherwise you get that imbalance, in the leg, and it can affect the health of your knee. Okay. So while we're here, kneeling upright, keep the tailbone tucked under, and then we're going to try and lift one foot away from the floor. You can see me doing it there. Now you may feel that now at the hamstrings, at the back of that leg. Watch out for cramping. Keep the hips pushing forward. Okay, release the foot down. Try that on the other side, which may feel completely different. If you start to get cramp, wiggle out with the foot and the toes. That can help. Keep breathing. And release down. Now we're going to try and do exactly that exercise when we're already stretching into the quads. And this will make it stronger because the hamstring has to work much harder now to bring that leg up. Okay, so we do this leg. We are kneeling and we're lunging forward. As I say, you can use those to keep your balance, but keep the chest up. If you're okay, take the arms out to the sides. I'd say that would be the best way. So to make it an active stretch, we want to try and bend that leg and bring the foot up. So if it feels, like you're going to get cramp, as I say, wriggle out through the foot, toes, whatever you need. Keep breathing. So now it's a more active stretch. Often we hold the foot if we can, but again, that makes it a passive stretch because your arm is doing the work, not your leg. One more breath. Good, and release. Okay, let's do that on the other side. The hips are sinking. Arms wide for balance. When you're ready, if you can, bringing up the other leg. Keep sinking forward. Keep breathing. And then releasing the foot down. Well done. Okay, come to sitting. Give the knees a little rub out. Now, all of these exercises are great, but if your knees can't take the pressure down onto the floor, because some people, it's not necessarily the bend in the knee, it's the pressure on the knee for kneeling. I've been there sometimes, then you can't necessarily do these exercises. So we're going to do an alternative, which means that we're working the same muscles, but we are not kneeling on the floor. Okay, so you want to come up to standing now. So to start off with, we're standing just in Tadasana, mountain pose on your mat, just standing nice and tall. Feel like you're spreading out the toes. Just finding your feet. Okay, so before we do the exercise that works the legs, we're going to think about the feet. So I always work on feet when we're doing hip and leg week, because feet and extremities, really, hands and feet, we tend to forget about those so much, and they still need to be worked. So when we're walking around day to day, it's really important to have that nice rolling action with your foot. So as we walk, we don't tend to think about the way the foot rolls through that position. And if you become stiffer into the toes and the feet and the ankles, ultimately it has a bearing on what's happening with your hips and your back. Okay. So thinking about your toes, feel free to look down at your feet. Have the hands anywhere that's comfortable for you. And we're going to try and lift the toes up away from the floor. So watch the balance, because once we lift the big toe, you can feel a bit wobbly. And as I say, always when we're doing these exercises, it doesn't matter if you can't do them. Any movement is good movement. So then we're trying to press the big toes only down onto the mat. So we're starting to work the arches in the feet. And then lifting the toes up and taking the little toes down onto the mat. Good. Okay, and lifting up. Then going from the big toe all the way to the little toe. As if you're drumming the fingers on a table, but we're working the toes on the mat. Really good. Don't forget to breathe. Try not to dribble. Okay, and then the other way, little toe to big toe. So we can feel the lower legs and the feet working hard. Good, good. Don't forget to breathe. Okay, so that's one to practice. That can be your homework. Okay, and then paddle out through the legs. All right, then we're standing again. Now lifting up just the big toes. Great. And then again, wriggle out through the feet. Okay, bring the hands together, prayer position. If you've got the feet a comfortable distance apart, nice and upright with the back. tightening up through the abs a little bit, lifting through the sternum. We're going to rise onto the balls of the feet. Don't worry about wobbling or staggering forward, doesn't matter. We're just getting some movement into the ankles. You may get some clicking, cracking. Mine are doing that already. And breathe. Good. If it works the legs. Excellent. One more. And then again, paddle out through the legs. Okay. Now, warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. I'm going to look at this facing you to start off with. Now, a bit like the lunge that we did down on the floor, warrior one, we want to be lunging forward with one leg and the front knee is going to be bent. If you tend to be on the stiffer side, don't take a giant leap forward. Otherwise, we tend to lean forward and we want to be upright at least to start with the body. Okay, so taking a reasonable stride forward for you with one leg, I'm bending that knee. Notice I'm not stepping in front of the back leg. If you feel wobbly, you could move that front foot out to the side. Keep breathing. Keep the hips pointing forward as much as we can, and the back leg is really straight through the thigh. We're pushing towards the heel. Heel doesn't necessarily need to be down. Lifting up through the chest. Reach up with the arms if we can. Any blood pressure issues, so you don't want to have the arms elevated, you could have the hands prayer position, heart center. Okay, so just make that applicable for you. We're reaching as if we're touching the wall behind with the fingertips, maybe lifting the chin as long as you don't feel too wobbly. And breathe. Next exhalation, release the arms forward and down. Inhale, step forward. Paddle out the legs. Very good. Okay, we'll do that on the other leg. So again, striding forward, appropriate for you, bending the front knee, back leg is nice and straight. I'm lifting the chest, arms either here or sweeping up. Keep breathing. So obviously your legs are holding your body weight. And at the front leg, the hamstrings and the quads are working hard because you've got that bend in the knee. And at the back leg, we're really stretching into the heel. So trying to straighten the leg as much as we can. Keep breathing. Great. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, step forward, paddle out through the legs. Okay, so I'm going to do that side on. Same as before. And if we can, we're going to add on. Okay, so striding forward, appropriate for you. Take the width if you need it and you feel wobbly. Now for this one, think about the chest being up. And I'd like you to take the arms out to the side. So we have a bit more stability. If you're very wobbly, you could always hold on to something if you need. Now the back knee, we're going to bend the back knee and draw the tailbone under. Feel the extra work in the back leg. I'm rolling onto the toes. Inhale, stretch back into the heel. So exhale, bend the knee, tuck the tail under. Inhale, stretch back. One more. Exhale. Inhale. And then coming forward, paddle out the legs. Okay, we do that on the other side. So striding forward. Ooh, same leg. Okay, so nice and steady. When you're ready. Exhale, we bend the back knee, tuck it under. Inhale, stretch it back. Two more. Exhale. Inhale, push the heel. Last one. And then forward. Good, good. So that might feel quite strong. You can feel it working down the fronts of the legs. If you need to stay at that level, you can stay exactly doing that again. We're going to do 3 more, and we're going to add on a bit, which is a dip down. So we start to work the buttock as well, a bit harder. So we were here, doing it with me, arms wide. So as I say, stay with the first bit if it's strong. So exhale, tuck it under, and slightly dip down, tap the floor, come up, inhale back to the heel. So exhale under and tap, inhale up and to the heel. One more. Good, and then coming forward, last leg. Same again. So tuck it under and tap. Inhale back to the heel. Under, tap. Inhale to the heel. Last one. And forward. Paddle out through the legs. Very good. Okay. So if you've got a brick, have that handy in case we get to the bit that's really strong. I'm not sure we'll have enough time for that. But now we're going to stand facing the long edge of your mat, okay? And I'm going to take a wide stride apart with my feet. Now, when we stand in this position, it can be very wobbly if you turn the heels in too much. So nice and slow, turn the heels in just a little bit. So we're just testing out how flexible you are into the hips now. So bend the knee and see if the knee goes in the same direction as your toes. If you've turned the feet out too wide and the knees are coming forward like this, you want to turn the feet back forward again a little bit. Now I'm going to start off with the easy versions of this, progressing to ones that are harder. If you find it difficult, stay at the easy section. You don't have to go to the hardest one, as always, okay? So Cossack lunges, we're going to have the hands on the hips. So starting off, bending one knee, knee following the line of the toes. Same on the other side. Don't forget to breathe. So you want a decent gap between the feet, and you may feel that you need to go wider as we progress on with these. So it starts to work right into the hips, and clearly it's working the legs and buttocks as well. Okay, so we're going to add on a little bit more this time now. So as we come down into this knee, see if you can touch the floor, and we're coming up. Same on the other side, and up. Last one. Adding on, as we go down, remember earlier when we rotated the toes towards the ceiling, we're pushing into the heel, rotate the toes upward, and this time we're going to walk across to the other side. Rotate the toes, feel the stretch inside the leg maybe, as we go over. Same. Back again, last time. Taking it a bit deeper now, think about your knees. If it's not suitable, continue with what you're doing. I'm squatting right down. Now the heel is lifting on this side. Really big stretch on the inside of the leg. Going across to the other side, same thing. Good, good. And again. So really listen to your body, your knees. Don't forget to breathe. Good. Now this time as we go across to the first side, see if we can squat down and keep the heel down on this foot. Maybe a bit lower, getting extra stretch in this leg. Other side. I find it much harder this side. And again. Good, I can feel my knees, hear my knees creaking. Last one. Great. Now this time as we go across the other side, we're going to try and sit down to the floor. If you're tighter, sitting on a brick may be more useful. Okay, so do that if you need it. Drop the knee in on this side. Then bring the knee up. Use your hands, push yourself up. Come across to the other side. See if you can do that again. And drop the knee in. Good, good. Bring it up. Pushing yourself up, across once more. This time, don't drop the knee in. And up. Last time. Now, the hardest one of these is coming now, and it's not using the arms. So we want to be able to sit, drop the knee in, and up. Press into the foot. Keep breathing. Oh, very good. Take the hands down in the center. If you need a brick, you can have that underneath your hands, like so. Prasarita Padottanasana, we want the feet to be parallel now, and we're coming down as low as we can. So those stretches may enable you to come down much further. Keep breathing. Drop the head if we can, and take the hands through the legs. Then activate the legs. The arms are going wide. Inhale, reach it up. And release the arms down, breathing out. And step together. Well done. Time for relaxation. Okay, so we're going to put the socks or tops on, anything you need to keep yourself warm. Remember last week I said you could use a blanket. And we're just going to lie down in Shavasana. Now, if you do have bricks and you find lying flat difficult, you could always prop underneath the backs of the legs with the bricks like I'm doing here. And this allows the top of the pelvis to tip back a little bit and can feel more comfortable as you're releasing down. Closing your eyes, settling the breath. You could take off your glasses if you like. Really feel the body sinking down. Using the exhalations to settle the heart rate. Allow the arms and the legs to feel heavy and soft. Back of the head sinking down as you release across the brow and around the eyes. Make sure you're softening through the jaw so that maybe the back teeth are slightly apart. Roll the head slowly to one side as you breathe out. And as you breathe in, roll it back to center. Follow the breath. Repeat on the other side. Inhale back to center. Everything's sinking down now, soft and heavy. And then through the nose, take a nice deep breath in. And through the nose, a full deep breath out. When you're ready, lifting the arms up. Exhaling over the head. Nice little stretch. Do whatever feels good for you. And then slowly, slowly bending the knees. And maybe hugging the knees up. Again, a nice rock, side to side. Slowly coming up back to sitting, using any props that might help you to sit tall. If you're using a blanket, you keep that on. Just lengthen the spine. Fingertips either side. Shoulders back. Deep breath in. Take the arms wide and up. Bring the palms together. Exhale down to heart center. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you don't ache too much tomorrow. Next week, we're going to look at upper body. So remember, all across the week, there's lots and lots of variety on the timetable. Things a little bit more energetic, combat, aerotone, high-low, I think. And there's also mature stretch, a bit of Zumba, love a bit of Zumba. And hopefully you can join me again next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye, everybody. Do give me a like if you liked that.